Unions in the Labour Party sometimes disagree. We don't always agree on everything, just as I hope that Business New Zealand and the National Party don't always agree on everything, or the Business Round Table, who knows. I'm going to talk a little bit about Part 1 of the bill, get back to that, but I do want to explore the issue of privatisation, given that the members raised it, and I look forward to the Minister's responses to my comments. But Part 1 of the bill contains some pretty miserable provisions, and they're under the title of so-called cost containments, and that's despite the fact that just about all of the government departments said, or advised the Minister, and advised the committee actually, that they will primarily affect low-income Māori, Pacifica workers and the vulnerable, and will shift costs to health, welfare and the injured workers themselves. Part 1 of this bill, Mr Chair, creates the platform for a return to the past or back to the future and the privatisation of ACC. The government says it's about cost containment and saving our ACC scheme. But we know that the changes in this bill are a prelude to privatisation, at which National has actually admitted it is working on. It's part of the deal with the ACT Party. It wants to reduce ACC costs to make the scheme attractive to private insurers. Now, Merrill Lynch Australia says that privatisation of the work account means $2 billion in revenue for Australian insurers, with $200 million profit a year. Now, New Zealanders are going to pay for this. New Zealanders are already paying more and getting less, and that will only get worse. So Labor opposes this, and I'm going to go into why. First of all, I want to say ACC is not broke.
Point of order. The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Chairman, we're dealing with Part 1 of this bill. There is no provision of this bill anywhere that has any provisions for competition or privatisation. And when the member says that she's now going to go in great detail about that is not one of the provisions that's in the bill.
Thank you. I'll just ask the member to concentrate on Part 1.
Point of order?
No, I've ruled. The Honourable...
Mr Chair, I'd like to...
Dorian Fenton.
OK, thank you, Mr Chair. Well, I do want to recall what happened last time National did pay with ACC, because they have been in government before and they have created a nightmare for workers in the past, and I see Part 1 of this bill as a repeat of this. That's true. And the language of this government is about providing choice, and we've heard this from the government in this debate, and about providing choice for people... Pardon? Well, that's right, and this is the language that this government, last time they had the reins of power, used exactly the same language, but the only choice that we're talking about here really is choice for employers who could choose between insurers and competing for business. And there was no choice for injured workers. So what happened? Well, it was inevitable. We saw what happened in the last time that the government had a go at privatisation. It is on their agenda. Yes, it's not in the bill, but that creates a platform through the arguments about funding and the arguments about cost containment for making the scheme much more attractive to private insurers. Now, one of the things there's several things in this bill that we will talk about more as we go through Part 1, and I'm happy to address those, Mr Chair, but would make the comment that others have actually expanded their comments way beyond Part 1. And I'm a bit disappointed that I can't do that. But the provisions in this bill that need to be addressed, that we will be addressing in Part 1, are things like the lack of the importance of prevention. The fact that the government is now proposing to change the name of this bill from injury prevention rehabilitation to accident compensation. So what it says is that this isn't about injury prevention, it's about accidents. So you only get anything that's all about accidents. There's nothing in this bill about injury prevention. And the previous Labor government was very big on injury prevention. What we are seeing are cuts to health and safety training, cuts to health and safety provisions, cuts here, cuts there, which are cutting back injury prevention. The other things that we will talk more about in this Part 1 are the changes to vocational independence, and I'm really looking forward to exploring why the Minister doesn't understand that 35 hours paid work is not the same as 30 hours paid work. It's 5 hours pay or less. a week less. That's a problem for people. That is, well, that's true, that's what they wanted. But, that's a real problem for people who are trying to get back into the workforce, who are trying to make ends meet. We'll also talk about the cover for work-related gradual process injuries. That's also an issue, going back to the 3-part test, which is blatantly unfair. And we will talk about holiday pay. I'm looking forward to debating that.
The Honourable Dr.